Each week, nearly a dozen movies are released theatrically. 40 films a month, more than 400 a year. That's a plethora of cinema. Too much cinema. You'd have to be an addict to see all that, but don't fret. We've got you covered. This is CinemAddicts.
Hey everyone, it's another week of CinemAddicts. New episode. This is episode number 222. Here's the thing. This is Christmas week. This is New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, kind of holidays. Happy holidays to you guys out there, wherever you are. So we're doing I don't know. I wanted to take this week off, but Bruce and Eric, they want to do an episode per week. They're hard workers. Bruce, I wanted 5 weeks off, Bruce, but no, it's not good for the continuity of the show. What do you think, Bruce?
Work.
Work.
To the bone.
Oh, so I think I'm making sort of a meet me halfway here situation. So we're not covering 3 or 4 movies this week. We're covering a movie called All of Us Strangers. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a quick review of All of Us Strangers, quick mini recommend for these 2 movies. You guys don't have to just quickly recommend these 2 movies that you both of you guys saw. And then we're going to launch into spoilers on All of Us Strangers and feelings. So we're actually going to do a full-bodied discussion of All of Us Strangers. For our recommends, it'll just be a quick 1, 2, 3 punch with Eric and Bruce on why they liked Barbie or Saltburn, which 2 movies I still haven't seen. But let's get to All of Us Strangers. It hit theaters last week on December 22nd, and it centers on a screenwriter played by Andrew Scott. He plays Adam. He's a lonely screenwriter living in a skyrise. It's a newly done skyrise, or maybe a refurbished skyrise. And what's interesting is he is seemingly one of the only 2 people in this skyrise right now. And what happens is there's a fire alarm in his skyrise while he's trying to write and hang out at his skyrise. And he goes down at the fire alarm, and you can see when he's downstairs, he goes out in the open out on the outside, and you realize the high rise, there's hardly any lights except one light. And that light is the domicile of Harry, played by Paul Mescal. And from the outdoors, you see Adam, played by Andrew Scott, Adam looking downstairs through the window of Harry's. And that's where the connection begins. Adam goes back to his apartment, and then he gets a knock on the door by Harry, played by Paul Mescal. And Harry's asking Adam, like, hey, Harry has a bottle of whiskey, and he's trying to come on to Adam, and really late at night. And Adam is just a writer. And usually stereotypically, writers are very insular, introverted people. And Adam Scott plays him in a very sensitive, he's pretty much a sensitive soul. And Adam basically kindly shuts the door on Harry. So that's, you see something going on within the first act. There might be something between Adam and Harry, maybe not. Another big part of the movie deals with Adam going into town. He's writing a story about his parents, his late parents. But when he goes into seeing his childhood home, lo and behold, he sees his parents. His parents are mom and dad. They're played by Claire Foy and Jamie Bell. So the rest of the movie deals with Adam reconciling the notion that his mom and dad are right before him in his childhood home. And it's about them trying to reconnect through this. Maybe are they ghosts? Are they an imagination of Adam's? Who knows? Adam is a writer. He has a vivid imagination. He's writing a story about his parents. This whole thing, and it's very meta because Andrew Haigh is a writer too. So maybe it might be from his own life, inspired by his own life. Who knows? It's a very interesting story. Is it about ghosts? Is it a family drama? Is it a love story between these 2 men? Maybe all 3? Who knows? Eric, your thoughts on All of Us Strangers?
I think it's about bringing baggage into a relationship. We all have, people go about their lives and intersect with someone. In this case, it's Adam and Harry. And what Harry doesn't realize is that Adam's going through some late post-traumatic stress with his, can we say that?
Yeah.
That's okay. Yeah. Of his parents having passed away. And he's like, at least in this movie, he's like right in the thick of it. It had happened a while ago.
When he was 12. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, I could be wrong, but I think what this movie is getting at is he's finally just starting to deal with it. Granted, he sees his parents, whether they're ghosts or imagination or whatever it is, he's definitely dealing with that now, maybe finally, just when him and Harry are having that budding relationship. And it plays with that idea pretty well, because you have him having talking with his parents. And by the way, like his character being gay, and then having those conversations with his parents, like, because the parents don't know they're dead yet, or they don't know that they're about to die, or the timing's really weird on that. So they knew him as a kid, and now just automatically they get to see him as grown adult. So then they get to have that conversation, and he gets to ask questions about like, kind of take them to task on their own parenting ability, ask them questions about what they actually thought of them, and then seeing what their parents think of, like, we knew you as a kid, and now we see you as a grown adult just out of nowhere. And what do you think of me now? And that was really interesting conversations to have. And then now, is he actually seeing this, or is this all in his head? And is this something that Harry wants to deal with? He wants to have a relationship with Adam, but maybe doesn't want to deal with all this baggage, going in. So I thought this was a pretty good movie. And usually movies like this, kind of like we've seen a couple of movies recently where they have like an idea. What was the one we watched last week with Anthony Hopkins?
Where's that? Yeah.
That movie had like the neat idea that they didn't explore. This is a neat idea that they explore. I don't know that they explored it fully, but they certainly explored it quite a bit. And yeah, this is good stuff.
Bruce?
Yeah, your original question was, could it be all three? I'd say, yeah, it could be all three. For me, it is. I think one of the things that makes this, for me, work really well is tone management, because this is a movie that on paper, if you just describe what's happening, this could fail utterly. If it was just done slightly wrong, it could be ludicrous. And sure, it could be for some now, but I don't think so. But it's done in such a subtle and caring way. Like this is a movie where you feel like the author and the writer, whoever wrote it, I don't know who's the writer, is the director the writer too?
Yes.
Taichi Yamada, based on a book. Andrew Haig wrote and directed it.
Adapted it. Okay, so the director, especially the way it's directed, the tone and the style of it, it's like you just feel that these characters are cared about, all of them, greatly by the person making this film. And I feel like that is vastly important for how this is presented to us and how it is successful. So you talk about the beginning, Greg, and another thing I think talk about that's really interesting is the way we introduce to the parents, right? So he lives in London in this essentially abandoned apartment complex that has not been occupied by anybody but Harry and himself. Adam and Harry are the only ones there. And then he takes a train. Anytime he takes a train out to the suburbs to where his parents lived when he was a child, it's like he's time traveling or something. The first time he does it, you don't know what's going on. You see him go up to the house. He holds up an old photo and he compares it to the house and he's like, oh, yes. So you know he recognizes the house, but you don't know what it is. And he's just walking around like playgrounds, and he's walking through a field. There's some man watching him from the edges of the forest, and you're not sure like who this guy is. And the guy comes up and talks to him, and it's almost like you feel like the guy is picking him up, because you've already figured out that he's a gay man, probably. You haven't really explored that yet in the movie, and you feel like the guy's picking him up. This guy comes up to him, talks to him a little bit, invites him back home, and then you discover like this is his father, and you're like, well, but it seems like they're the same age. I don't get this. So it slowly kind of unravels and reveals what's going on. And then once you're in there, if you've accepted it up to that point, I think as the viewer, you're in. And I know I was at that point. And it's such a gentle, slow discovery. And like you said, it works in several ways. It works as a tentative romance, a very tentative romance, because Adam is very fragile, and you think Harry might be too, but you're not really sure. You don't really know Harry's story as much as you know Adam's. You're learning Adam's much more directly. And then on top of that, this really interesting idea of, quote, haunting, right? Meeting his parents at the age they were when they died, which is, I think, younger than he is currently. I think it's like 30 years before that.
Yeah. He's older now.
Having them, instead of having them just be like, they acknowledge him in his current state. That's a really interesting idea, that they see him now and they deal with him now. So for them, as quote ghosts, right? And I'm not going to get too many spoilers, but that's the kind of a basic concept you have to kind of know about this movie. for them emotionally dealing with what he's become is a really interesting idea, which I haven't really seen explored in movies. Whereas they're not just plot devices. They could be just pure plot devices that don't have anything at stake for themselves, but they actually have stakes for themselves, which I think is very interesting.
This is a pretty immersive movie. Did you guys really? This is considered one of the best films of the year, and I think it works. I was saying on our CinemAddicts Facebook group, technically it's a beautiful looking movie. So if you want that visual immersion, I think, Eric, in one of your interviews, I think for The Mental State, you asked, what does the colorist do? Whoever the colorist was in this movie, it looks beautiful. And like Bruce was saying, it keeps this really strong tone throughout the movie. You don't feel like you don't feel like the director has lost his muse or, most importantly, his focus throughout the entire narrative. It is really locked in. By 20 minutes in, I was thinking, okay, so parents are passed away, they're ghosts, they had a nice conversation. There's about 70 or 80 minutes left. What's next? Right? Okay, that's the whole story. Well, wrong. It continued to immerse me in the entire story. Third act, don't want to say what happens, but was surprising because it's, Eric, to your point, it's not a spoiler to know that the parents have passed. That's already in the trailer. It's already in the reviews. You're going to have to talk a little bit about the movie. And I understand the concern with that because, like Bruce, you were saying, if you don't know anything about All of Us Strangers, it's actually a better experience if you don't know who these people are. Let's just face it, okay? But even with that, it's still an immensely enjoyable film. Yes, Eric?
I would probably go the other way. I think it's better to know because if you don't know what's happening, because I know I didn't, and I was confused like a lot.
Yeah, like the first 20 minutes.
It wasn't until, I get it. And then I kind of would rather have seen the trailer or have known that that's where it was going, because early on I was just lost. And then once I figured out what was going on, it wasn't like, oh, that's a cool surprise. It's, oh, okay, now I know what this is. Now
that's interesting.
Now I can relax.
Yeah, Bruce.
I was gonna say, I kind of agree and some agree with Eric, because I know how Eric, a lot of these kind of movies can kind of be like, oh my gosh, when is something going to happen? Right? I can feel that. And in the beginning of this movie, if you don't know why the things are happening, it doesn't feel like anything's happening. Although stuff is happening, because when you know where it's leading, it all is adding up to that. But until you know that's his parents, you're like, what's going on? What are we doing here?
A perfect example is Petite Maman. And this has a lot, a ton in common with Petite Maman, where like early on, like the first time I saw Petite Maman, I was like, oh, indie porn, I hate this. Until I figured out what was going on. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is cool. And then I went back and watched the beginning again, having already watched the movie and knowing what's going on. And now I can appreciate like all that stuff that's happening. I think it's similar to this. Once you know what's going on, you can start appreciating what happens early on before the movie tells you what's going on.
William Lindus in his Movie Bears podcast review, I will put the link, guys, remind me, I'll put William Lindus's link, movie review link on our show notes. He was talking about how, with queer cinema, it's a great look at a relationship between two men and how they are portrayed. So William was talking about relating to that story. For me, on the flip side, for almost 10 years, I lived in high rise. And this is the first time where I actually felt the reason why I love living in sky rises, because even though I never felt lonely, I loved being solitary. And when you're at that level, high level, you're looking not down on the world, you're looking apart from the world. You are an observer. You are keeping the world at bay. And that is what Adam is doing for most of this movie, or most of his life. You're inferring that because of this tragedy and that he's a writer, he's kept sort of a distance from humanity. He writes about it. He writes these stories, but he's all alone in his skyrise until the supposed supernatural event occurs, until Harry comes knocking on his door with a half-drunk bottle of whiskey, and Adam must make those decisions. Does he let Harry into his world? Does he let these ghosts, supposed ghosts, or his parents back into his life? So these are the life dilemmas that Adam must face. And I think, ultimately, without giving too much away, whether they are ghosts or not is not the most important thing. It's about the transformation of Adam. So I just thought that was a very interesting film. Bruce, Eric, your final thoughts on this movie and rating before we get to
I kind of be curious because both my parents are still with me. I'd be curious how this affects, like Greg, you mentioned a bunch of your dad's passing and like certain movies hit you a certain way because of that. I don't have that because again, both my parents are still with me as we currently speak. But I'd be curious of kind of how a movie like this affects you, or do you kind of fantasize like, oh, if I could go back and
Don't ask me personal questions anymore, Eric. I'm the one who's
Okay.
supposed to ask personal questions.
All
I'm just
right.
kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. You and I, the interviewers, don't turn the tables on me. We're part of the whole brothers in arms here. No, but yeah, definitely affected me, Eric. Bruce, your rating on
Yeah.
thoughts.
My rating is 5 stars on this one. I think it's amazing. I'm not going to go through all the scenes, but I do want to highlight one scene without talking about it specifically what happens in it, other than to say there's a scene between ghost dead father and son where you have not only the question of acceptance, and I won't say where that goes, but you have the question of the father discussing and acknowledging how he maybe mistreated or treated his son as a youth, and how that goes forward. And I think for any parent and child relationship, the idea of acknowledging maybe the mistakes that you made or the harm that you did, whether it's with a gay child or not gay child, that's a pretty powerful scene. There's several powerful scenes, but I just want to call that one out as especially powerful, I thought.
Well, I'm not going to one up you, but I'm going to add to this. There is a scene with Claire Foy as
Yeah.
mom, and she's talking. And you guys both know what scene I'm talking about. She's telling Adam about, well, it would have been cool if we could grow. It's about growing as
Yes.
not growing as a child, but also growing as a parent. You're not the best mom and dad when your baby's born. You grow into it, right? Don't you? Hopefully, Bruce, you know better than me or
Yes.
Eric. Yeah. So
Yeah, no, I think there's a lot of sensitivity all the way around with that, with parent and child relationships. And do we agree this is probably the best use of Pet Shop Boys in a Christmas scene ever in the history of cinema?
100%.
Probably.
100%.
Oh yeah, this is a Christmas movie.
Also, we mentioned in our Patreon episode, by the way, our Patreon episode, we covered the Nicholas Roeg film Eureka, and also an interesting Michael Mann film called The Keep. Check it out on our Patreon. For our Patreon members, it's very interesting for December. That said, the reason why I'm saying that is Nicholas Roeg, great editor, great visualist. Andrew Haig, this movie has a montage that Nicholas Roeg would love if he was still alive today and salivate over. It's a beautifully edited and shot film. Let's just get it. I mean, it's an emotional film, but there's just great cinematic technique. Okay, I mean, yes,
I would say to tie it to The Keep. On the Patreon, we talked about that scene with The Keep where it just backs up till there's just that point left. That's in this too.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, very good, Eric. Very good poll. And William LIndus also said in his review again, which we're going to link on the Movie Bears podcast review, that I think the ending is some of the 6 seconds of the most powerful moments in cinema. That was interesting that he said that. I don't know if we all agree with it. I kind of agree because I really loved that mention, and we're not going to get too much into it. We're going to get to that in the spoilers at the end of the show. Okay. But Eric, Bruce said 5 stars. What is your rating on All of Us Strangers?
I'm probably 4 stars on this. I think it got a lot stronger towards the end than it was towards the beginning. But again, the movie has a point of view and it engages with that point of view pretty dang well, I think.
Yes. Okay. So All of Us Strangers, I forgot to mention Andrew Scott and Paul Mescal. For me, they had a ton of great chemistry. Okay. That's
Yes.
oh my God. Okay. So this for me was like petite maman level, like amazing. So like, yeah, 5 stars. I'm really sad that I watched this after I voted for the Critics' Choice Association. This would have been my favorite film of 2023. So 5 stars, right? I mean, right off the top. And Jamie Bell, Claire Foy, great as the mom and dad. No weaknesses. Also, we're going to get to the spoilers towards the end. So after Bruce and Eric do the recommends, say bye-bye, okay, if you haven't seen this. And then you can please check back to this episode and we'll talk about the endings. I'm going to give you guys a reason why All of Us Strangers is worth watching at least twice. And we're going to see if Bruce and Eric agrees with me on that. Now let's go to our quick recommends. Bruce and Eric, can you guys talk about the 2 movies you recommend our CinemAddicts listeners?
Sure. Fast, very fast for
Very
Barbie.
fast.
What are you going to say about Barbie? Everyone's watched Barbie.
I haven't seen Barbie.
I hadn't watched Barbie.
Because I'm a misogynist. Is it? Can I say that? Well,
Yes.
can I say, Eric, am I misogynist? No, I'm
You're
not.
living in your Mojo Dojo Casa house. I'm sure you are.
Barbie's Christmas movie.
Barbie's a
I don't know
Christmas
if you know.
movie.
Let's just say I watched it twice. It's a 5-star movie. This is, you know how like the Lego movie came out and it was way better than it had any right to be, and it was just excellent, and it was fun, and it was smart, and all that kind of stuff. This is all that, and also somewhat emotional, and also probably one of the most feminist movies of the year. I mean, but also just, I put it this way: the fact that Greta Gerwig can make movies like my brain's forgetting her movie,
Little Women, Little Women,
and
what bird?
I
What
can't
the
remember.
bird thing?
Birdie.
Little bird? Birdie? No, Little Bird. What is it called? What is it called?
What is it called?
I'll
My
look it
brain's
up right now.
forgetting
But yeah,
Yeah.
I'll look it up.
You know
right
what
now.
I'm trying to say? I can't think of the name
I'm
of it
thinking
all
it's
of a
like Little Bird or something. I'm wrong. But it's Little Women.
sudden. Ladybird.
Lady Bird. There you go.
All right. Good God. Everyone's pulling their hair out right now. Lady Bird and Little Women. The art house, indie movies, all this kind of stuff. And then she makes this movie. The fact that she has that breadth and can pull it off. And we talk about tone management. We were just talking about tone management. To be able to pull off the tone in this movie, to have it be this fun, ridiculously bright, vibrant, joyous send up comedy of the Barbie concept, and have it be funny, and also have it be biting social satire in the midst of that, is almost impossible to pull off, and they do. And to actually have moments where you might even tear up, which is hard to even imagine would be in this movie, and it actually is there. I mean, and just super memorable performances all the way around. Great cast. I mean, there's nothing to say, but this is a great movie. And if you haven't watched it, like myself, go watch it.
Bruce, are you surprised? It's probably, I'm assuming, putting words in your mouth, that it's one of your favorites of this year. Were you surprised that it would vault to that level? I'm assuming it's one of your tops.
I wasn't too surprised. I mean, this is one I actually did want to check in the movie theater, but no one wanted to go see it with me. And this is just, I don't go to the movie theater too awfully much with all the movies we watch every week. So I knew it would be coming around eventually. I expected to like it. I still think it surpassed what I expected it to be. So I liked it a lot.
And very quickly, Eric, you concur with Bruce as far as one of your tops? And
yeah, agree with everything Bruce said. Agree with everything anyone says that's good about this movie, because this movie's fantastic. And I would also point out that, that you get certain blockbuster movies, they're not good. It's like, oh, it was boring. It was just dumb. And a lot of people would say, well, what do you expect? It's a blockbuster. This movie is fun. It's funny. It's intelligent. And it goes above and beyond. People would say with movies like this, it has no business being this good. But I think movies like Barbie kind of set a bar that I can't remember if I talked about Godzilla Minus One. I know Bruce did. That Godzilla Minus One is an example of, okay, you can't use that as an excuse anymore. You can't use, oh, this is just a dumb blockbuster extravaganza, therefore it can't be good. That's not an excuse anymore, because we have movies like Barbie, because we have Lego movies. I didn't love the Spider-Verse movies, but those would be another great example. I think movies like Barbie just kind of set a new bar for other people to clear. And I got one other thing, but I'll let Bruce go first.
I want to say one other thing. I want to add to what you're already saying. And it made $1 billion.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you can do this and make money, because a lot of times their excuse will be like, well, but it won't make money.
Well, this helped, I think.
Yeah.
All right.
But you see what I'm saying? Like, you can do it. And the other movies you mentioned, also Spider-Verse, Lego movie, those all made a lot of money too. So you can make a blockbuster that makes a lot of money and also be all of these great things and be great movies.
And this movie completely craps all over Mattel.
Yeah.
And Mattel had to sign off on it.
But that's the tone.
I think there's a scene in this where kind of towards the end where Barbie's like, I just want to be, or no, it wasn't Barbie, it was the mom. She was like, yeah, I think maybe you could just have a Barbie that's maybe president. Maybe they just want to be a mom. Maybe they want to be neither. Maybe they just want to be who they are. Will Smith or Will Ferrell's like, that's a terrible idea. Looks like it's going to make money. Like I said, that's a great idea. Like, I think but it kind of speaks to what we're talking about here, because like, I think people want to see stuff like that. You know, they want the spectacle, they want the fun, but also there's no reason why you can't have a point of view and a story and characters in there as well.
Okay.
But it does the weird trick, and we'll stop because we said we're going to go quickly. It does the weird trick where it craps on Mattel, but it also loves Barbie at the same time.
Yeah.
It doesn't hate Barbie. That's the weird thing about it. So that is the incredible trick of this movie, is that it is a love letter and a satire at the same time.
One last thing.
Yes.
This movie also has a character named Midge, played by Emerald Fennell, who wrote and directed a movie called Saltburn, which is not at all a segue to anything.
Okay, it's going to be a segue in a second. Eric, your rating on Barbie. Bruce gave it 5 stars.
Yeah, it was 5 stars.
5 stars from both Bruce and Eric for Barbie. Now, is it streaming? What is it? How did you guys find it? Is it on Max?
It's HBO Max, yeah.
Okay, it's on Max right now. Also, well, not also on Max, but streaming on Prime Video is Saltburn. Eric, Saltburn, we know what it's about. Barry Keoghan's in it, and there's Jacob Elordi. Recommend it? Why? Why do you recommend it?
Ouch. Do I recommend this? It's tough. Well, first of all, Angie Clark hit me up, and she had just seen that. Like, a bunch of people on CinemAddicts seen it, but Angie Clark hit me up, and we haven't, like, sometimes we'll both put on, like, time a movie, put it on at the same time, just kind of like text back and forth as we're watching the movie. And then I saw that Bruce had seen this. I'm like, yeah, I'll watch Saltburn. So I'm basically watching with Angie Clark. And this is not my type of movie.
Good.
But
I'd love to hear that.
But there are scenes in this that I greatly appreciate. A lot of this was similar, and go listen to the Patreon about Eureka. There's a lot of similar DNA between this and Eureka. And this movie's also very... I don't know if sexy is the right word. Definitely horny. There you go. Okay. There's like a bathwater scene that nearly made me throw up. And then there's a bunch of scenes like that where Barry Keoghan's character is just doing like he starts humping something. It'd be a spoiler to say what it was, but he starts humping something, and at that point I'm like, just of course he's humping that. Of course.
So it didn't work for you, right?
No, well, so early on it didn't, because it was just straight up indie porn early on, and then once it started kind of getting to the point of what the story was, and I kept, like, Angie disagreed with me. I still maintain that this is a vampire movie. You let the not a actual vampire movie, but the fact that you let the vampire in the house and the vampire is going to destroy your life. That's like a metaphorical vampire, I guess. Okay. That are like that talented Mr. Ripley vibes. You let the person in, they start destroying your life. That's kind of, they let Barry Keoghan's character in. He starts, like, little by little just kind of destroying their lives. And it turns out before he was let in, they kind of already had their issues. This is not a bad movie. This is just not really my type of movie, but I did appreciate all the strange kind of sexual stuff that they had in it. And it got to the point where it just became comical. Like the one part where he's humping the thing that I can't say, they just linger on that scene. It just got to the point where, oh, this is supposed to be funny. I gotcha. And then the last shot, I guess, I can't remember. Were they playing credits during that part? It seemed like they should be playing credits if they weren't, but there's a part where you see Barry Keoghan's flopping around all over the place. That was good stuff. Yeah, there's stuff I like in this. Overall, though, not quite my type of movie. But
what's your rating?
I'd probably go 3 stars on this.
3 stars.
But I think some people will go like 5 stars. Other people will watch this and go 1 star. So actually, I might go 3-star banger on this.
3-star banger on
Saltburn. Yeah.
I liked it overall. I didn't love it as much as I liked Promising Young Woman. I think this movie is
overly praised. Saltburn.
I think people think it's super heady, and I think it's a little more basic than it pretends to be. I think honestly, this movie has more akin to the like Knives Out movies or the Menu or something like that, where it's
Bruce,
like,
you just got my Reels title. Saltburn is basic. I'm gonna hashtag Bruce Purkey.
I think I said
all
to
the
somebody
Saltburn
else.
Crew against you. What?
I said to somebody else on the page, this is like the person who thinks they're really strange and really random, but they're actually really basic. But it's fun basic overall. But it's kind of if you look at this, once you know what's happening, like at about the 35-40 minute movie or point in the movie, you know kind of what's happening. It's just kind of step by step by step, and you're just waiting for all the pieces to drop. But I had a fun time watching it overall. I will make another choice, though. If you want almost the exact same sort of setting and concept, but I think played out in a much more interesting way from this year, watch The Origin of Evil, which we discussed on a previous episode. Because I think The Origin of Evil does what this movie kind of wants to do in a much more interesting way. I know Eric wasn't quite so hot on it, but I think it was much more, it had a lot more thought in it and a lot more character in it. Whereas this one pretends like it has a lot of character. It really doesn't have a lot of character. It's really just kind of a flashy, fun romp of weirdness that's not really that weird.
Is it empty calories like a Diet Coke? I like Diet Cokes. So does,
It looks beautiful. It's skillfully shot. It's acted with gusto, which I appreciate. But to me, this is a 4-star movie for me. So I'm not hating on it, but it should have been more.
Okay, yeah. That's fair. 4 stars for Bruce Purkey. 3 stars. I think a 3-star banger for Eric Holmes, for Saltburn, and of course, their top recommend this week is Barbie. Now let's get to, that's it. Any final thoughts, Bruce?
Yes, pick a box movie, and then we'll go to spoilers really quick.
Okay. Pick a box movie. Okay,
yeah.
By the way, box was interesting stuff. BrucePorky@gmail.com. Listeners, Cinematics listeners, please email Bruce or hit us up on Cinemax Facebook group and get some more.
Wait, didn't you pick a box movie last week that we're gonna push?
Oh no, do we? Yeah, right now. Yeah, he's picking up.
I don't know. I don't remember.
No, I thought you picked one. Like I knew we weren't doing one for this week, but I thought you were going to pick it early.
I think I did, and I can't remember what it is, so I'd have to go look.
Well, let's pick one today, and we'll do 2 of them.
All right.
Okay,
we'll figure it out.
Wow, let's listen to that. I should listen to those episodes.
Well, yeah, I don't know.
My goodness.
Walk the Cinema has suggested to me to watch What the Peeper Saw, which I don't even know what that movie is.
What the Peepers? Okay.
What the Peeper Saw.
Oh, actually, you did. I think it was a.
Okay.
What was in a movie? Like I can't remember, but it had like a long title, like the something,
we'll figure it out.
the good and the something or whatever.
If there is another one, I will watch one for next week, and I'll watch one for the week after.
We're going to talk about All of Us Strangers in a few moments. Okay, spoiler stuff. So basically, we're done for this episode, unless you want to hear spoilers for All of Us Strangers. Final thoughts, Eric Holmes.
I'm on the Film Vultures. Mitch Burns had a Christmas special. Come on there. You got Diana Van de Kamp shows up. Florence Brummer.
A whole bunch of people.
Geo, a whole bunch of people show up. And then he had one with the Middle Class Film Class. I guess that one went so long that he just made that its own episode, which that's fun. And I will be doing some more playthroughs of the Film Vault game. If anyone would like to play, hit me up.
And the videos will be found on what's YouTube channel?
Oh, those are on Mitch Burns, the Hollywood Persona, Film Vultures. You can find it on YouTube.
Okay, check it out. Mitch Burns, again, he has 2 podcasts. The Film Vultures, which is a celebration of the Film Vault, and I guess all of its the people who populate that universe, including Eric Holmes. And also the Hollywood Persona. Yes, Eric.
And also, if you're on the CinemAddicts Facebook page, you may have saw that we had a Secret Santa. And thank you, Patrick McCormick, for Oppenheimer.
Oh, thank you, Patrick McCormick, for Oppenheimer. Obviously, Eric Holmes is the wrong person to give it to, Patrick. Don't you know that it's Bruce Purkey? He's every single week. Eric and I get calls at 3 a.m. Go see Tenet again. Go see Tenet again. Okay, Bruce, that's enough.
We get it. You love Tenet.
You just got to see it so you can really get it. You got to get all the nuances.
Okay, final Bruce. Yes.
I will say also, I was Bruce's Secret Santa. Spoiler alert. This is more just a public service announcement. Okay. So I was going to send it to Bruce, and they're like, I was like, what does it cost to send? I was like, it's like $8. What do you want it there by Christmas? I'm like, that'd be ideal. How much is that? $80. I'm like, $8 it is. So I'm thinking it's not going to get there for like a week from now, but apparently he has it already. So
yeah, it came like the day after Christmas. It was totally fine.
So if you got to send something and they're like, it's going to be $80 to get it there today or $8 to get it there the day after, just go with $8.
Yeah,
much cheaper. Saves you $70.
You got a good gift, right, Bruce? You got a good gift?
Yeah, cool. They live alien guy dude thing. Yeah, it's awesome. I put it next to my VHS tape of They Live. So.
And final thoughts, Bruce, before I get to spoilers.
No, let's get to the spoilers, man.
We'll get to spoilers right now. We're not going to get to the spoilers with 2 seconds. Mitch Burns, thank you. You were my Secret Santa. Mitch Burns. Thank you for your gift of the Criterion Collection disc, Blu-ray, La Petite Maman. It was basically saying, I remember you from that episode. Mitch, you were kind. You remembered when I started bawling like a little baby talking about Petite Maman because I love that movie so much. I am not going to bawl like a baby right now because we're going to thank you guys, Cinematics. We'll see you guys next week. We're talking about spoilers right now. Like Bruce said, I'm going to try my best not to bawl like a baby for all of us strangers because I got teary during the movie. We're going to talk about spoilers. Bruce, did you get teary? I almost got teary. There's like tears, a little bit teary. You know,
it was definitely emotional.
Bruce,
I don't know if I got teary, but it was emotional for sure.
Yeah, I got teary-eyed. I think Eric, you were not too teary because you were still trying to uncover the puzzle pieces of this movie, right? A little bit.
No, I did. I did get. I started getting teary when he started having conversations, like real conversations with his parents about like just kind of re-going over their parenting style and, oh no, was I good? Was I a good enough parent? Did I treat my son right that much? And then he had the part where this one didn't really make me so teary, but I thought it was kind of funny just because kind of how things play out. But the mom's like, was it quick? Wait, never mind. Don't tell us. Don't tell us. No, it was quick. You're just saying that.
And he was just saying that.
Yeah. And he was just saying lying. That. And they knew he was lying, right? They knew he was lying because of his body language. So, spoilers. Are his parents ghosts or not?
Yes.
It's sort of resolved. Yeah, and Bruce is saying yes. It's sort of resolved towards the end because of that really family. They have that family dinner at his favorite childhood restaurant. They order the family meal, which is kind of weird because the parents can't be seen, right? And the waitress is saying, "Yeah, that's a lot of stuff you're gonna eat."
Yeah, he gets those 3 glasses.
Right. He gets a 3 malts or whatever, and along with the 3 meals, right? That's his favorite meal plan. But they're basically talking about their own death. They're talking about that, and they're talking about I guess meeting at different times and trying to resolve their issues, and everything's coming out to the forefront. And I'm thinking so they're acknowledging their existence as ghosts. Is it really answered? Do you guys think that it's really answered? Or is there still a question that these parents are actually a figment of Adam's imagination? What is your vote, Bruce and Eric? And we're going to go with that.
I think this is one of those instances where it doesn't matter.
Yes.
Because for the main character, like, if they're real, then he's getting closure with his parents. And one of the things that might kind of lean it towards it being real is when the parents decide that we want to keep seeing you, but we see what this is doing to your life. This is ruining you. Yeah. So we need to let's do one last day. We'll do one last day, but after that, we're gone, and it's for your own good. But that could also just be him in his own head coming to terms with that. Like, I got to let the past die. I gotta move on.
Sure.
So this is a situation where I don't think it's important whether or not they're ghosts or figments of his imagination. I think what's important is how his past is affecting his life now, and him kind of leaning into that is potentially ruining his life. As much as he's getting closure, you want to get the closure and move past it, but he's in danger of not being able to move past it and then ruining his life as it currently is.
That is a strong argument, Eric. Bruce, do you co-sign on that interpretation of the film, or are you pretty clear that they are ghosts?
Well, I think they are ghosts. I agree, though, that it doesn't matter for the emotional stakes and the emotional journey he's taking. Like, it works either way. So it really is just a choice you make as a viewer. I do think it's interesting the fact that they're not the only ghosts, though, because, of course, Harry's a ghost as well.
That one broke me, that towards the end.
And then my question is Adam a ghost?
Oh, wow.
So it does, once again,
great, Bruce.
Doesn't matter. But why is he able to see all these people that passed along? And it is essentially, is it like a sixth sense, but not spelled out to you, where the reason he's seeing all these ghosts is because essentially they're helping him pass on. So that the final moment of the movie is him basically in peace, forever together with his true love.
Among the stars.
Both dead in the stars.
Bruce.
Yeah.
Wow. What?
So it's like reading. Inception.
And that's why they're both. That's why they're both. It's like a ghost story, kind of, right? That's why they're both alone in this apartment complex.
Yeah.
It's like they're kind of in a purgatory.
Yeah, it's like Inception. It's like, does the top fall or not? And it's like, it doesn't matter because DiCaprio was dead the whole time. His wife came to sleep to try to bring him back.
My reading is the only reason he sees any of these other ghosts The only reason he can see any of these other ghosts is because he has died. So the beginning of the movie is his death. We don't know how he's died. They never show us that.
That's great, Bruce.
But he's dead.
I just changed my star rating.
Wow, that's amazing. And also because the dance sequences when they're in the club, it's all montage, right? And it's all, like you said, it's a fever dream. What happens how do these fever dreams occur? They occur sometimes in your subconscious, right? And sometimes they're not actually etched in reality, right? He's the only one in the playground, and I mean in that grounds area, and he's the only one in the train.
Yeah.
Until he sees his younger self and that person next to him, right?
Yeah.
Wow. Blown away.
Well, of course, there's a scene where the parents see Harry when he brings Harry over. Is it Harry, right? That's the name? I guess right?
Yeah.
Like
Adam. Oh, yeah, bring Harry over.
Yeah,
Paul
he brings Harry over to meet them, and even though he can't get in the house, and Harry's like freaking out, like, why are you bringing me here? They're supposed to be dead. But then there's that moment where they look out the window and they see him. So that's a moment where you're identifying, and that's the moment where you're kind of like, wait, why do they see him? Or why does he see them? And they see him because he's a ghost. That's also why they see Adam, because he's a ghost.
Okay.
And it doesn't matter.
That's a great.
I think it makes a lot of sense.
Okay, now my flip side, my counter to this, the courtroom argument here, is with this theme of this movie, Andrew Haig, he's trying to say, Adam, that whole theme about his heart is wound up. It's wound. And the theme of having people who are ghosts who have passed on, your parents, as well as the stranger, all of us strangers, the stranger being Harry, who is actually, like you said, has passed on as well due to suicide, right? Or we're assuming it's a suicide, or maybe
overdosed,
or maybe overdosed,
ketamine
right?
And alcohol and everything. He probably just died from overdose.
Maybe you're right. Yeah, maybe. Okay, so all of these, that stranger and his family healing his heart and helping him move on. And
they're all healing each other's hearts, really. I think the idea is that it's kind of the classic thing, right? The ghosts that can't move on because, for whatever reason, like they all can't move on because they have unresolved stuff. So this movie is about them all resolving their stuff.
Wow. I had a different read on that. I thought it was more of a human story about a man trying to move on, and with people who's passed on.
It could be that too.
No, I know 100%, because that, I think my version is very healing, right? As far as learning from people who've passed on and continuing to take memories from your past and help you move on with your life, like Eric was pointing to, right? And maybe reaching out to strangers, and maybe they can enhance your life. So that's good. But your version, I think, is absolutely sublime.
Well, my version also is like, it's like, okay, what is the one thing people hate? The regret of like, I never said goodbye, I never did this, I never did that, right? You know, there's all the unresolved stuff when you die. This is like almost saying like, you'll have a chance. It's like saying like, there is a chance in your life, in your afterlife even, to do that if you really have to. It's not giving you a way out. It's just saying like, whenever you can do it, do it. But you got to deal with this stuff at some point. And this way, that's the way I'm reading it. I really like it.
That's a great read, Bruce. Eric, were you surprised when Harry died, with the discovery that Harry died, or were you not surprised that happened?
Honestly, I didn't. No, I'm surprised now.
Oh, wait, you weren't surprised when you saw Harry die? You weren't surprised when you walked into the room and Harry was dead? No,
I like what Bruce's whole take on it is kind of recontextualizing everything about the movie.
Oh no,
but so what I'm getting at is that like you have like certain movies that do that. They like turn or do a little twist or whatever. That's fine. But then does the twist add anything to the story? And I think in this case it does, because you have what the movie's about, and then now you have the new context, and then Bruce just brought up a third context to it, and all that is not only equally valid, but they touch on different, like when you recontextualize it, it brings up different ideas of what the movie could mean. That's deeper ideas that it can mean, not just, ooh, are they dead? Are they alive? Like, that maybe it's a cool twist, but does it add anything to the emotional weight of the story? And I think in this case it does.
And to me, the reason it really worked for me, and I had to kind of think about it afterwards, is just like that final shot of them going into the stars, basically. It absolutely worked with the way I read it. Like it just literally worked with the way I read it. So
wow. That's amazing, Bruce. I bet you that probably William Lindus had the same read as you did. And that's why he said the final 6 seconds of the film is among the most powerful moments he's seen in cinema. So I think you and him were sort of two trains running on that interpretation. So that is it. Listeners, go ahead.
I just changed the star rating again.
you just changed this. No,
I went from 4 to 4.5, and it just now changes to 5.
5 stars. Okay.
Yes.
5-star rating. Okay, 5-star rating.
You talked me into it.
There. Oh, yeah. Look. Oh, okay. Finally, before we go, I alluded to our CinemAddicts Facebook group. Listeners, if you haven't, please join our CinemAddicts Facebook group. Not because of me, not because of Bruce, not because of Eric. Okay. Because of people like Ken Cunningham, Andrew Dykstra, and just so many people, Angie Clark, it was Matt Stillman. Matt Stillman, by the way, gave this only 3 out of 5. He thought it was more of like a stage play, All of Us Strangers.
I'll take him aside. I'll put him through the Bruce treatment. We'll get him.
But join, okay, because of these Joseph Bridges, because of Andrew Martin, all of these wonderful people, all of these wonderful members, they give daily recommendations. And they have so many great Chad Wolfong, so many great Nathan Day, so many great interesting insights on movies. Okay, so it goes way beyond us three and Anderson Cowan. So please join our CinemAddicts Facebook group. And I'm ending on this. The reason why I think All of Us Strangers works as a movie, well, there's another reason because of Bruce's interpretation, but upon second watch, you can watch this as, like Bruce said, like that movie, quote unquote, a ghost story. And you can just pick the movie apart. This movie, first watch for me, emotional hit. Second watch, start analyzing the ghost stuff. And I think do you guys agree it has high rewatchability factor, All of the Strangers?
Yeah, especially now.
Okay, especially now. Oh, I think.
Well, because like I thought like doing a rewatch would just make me appreciate the beginning more. And then as we're talking, like you said you wanted to do a spoiler. I'm like, oh, I guess we can talk a little bit about that. But like the more
Bruce brought down the hammer. The
more we're talking about it, like now I'm thinking like, I don't just need to appreciate the beginning. I need to appreciate like that there's a lot more going on to this movie than I initially thought.
And listeners, here's the biggest illusion of our podcast. What you're listening to is not 3 people who are alive. You're just absolutely just imagining this conversation right now. Look out your window. We're waving right at you. We'll see you.
The Halloween episode.
Thank you guys. We love you. We'll see you next week here.
The Christmas Ghost Podcast
for all strangers. We'll see you guys later.
Be a better parent.
Okay.